I'm just quickly
Guys, okay. I was gonna
fixing
do
the
this.
docs, and then I will help you now.
Okay.
Good morning, Dr. Damana. Good morning. Dr. Damana, can you just check if you can share your presentation, please?
Marga, I think Dr. Amana might have just popped off to grab a coffee or tea. There we go.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Just remember to put it into slideshow mode when you are presenting. Thank you. You can switch off, Salon.
Good morning to everyone on the platform. Can I just check with Mr. Hermans whether we correct?
Good morning, Chair. We do correct, Chair. Shall I proceed with the roll call, Chair?
Recording
Please.
in progress.
I will do so. Mr. Mbayani,
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to colleagues. I'm present. Thanks.
Mr. Malamatia,
Thank you. And morning to everyone. I'm present.
Mr. Burns Namashe,
Molo Slalo Namalungu Diko.
Ms. Muatse,
Morning, Chairperson, and morning, colleagues. I'm present.
Ms. Yaku,
Morning, Chair. Morning, everyone. I'm present.
Mr. Mulder,
Goeiemôre voorsitter en kollegas. Ek is aanwesig.
Ms. Mutahum,
Morning, Chair. Morning, everyone. I'm present.
Mr. Cuthbert,
Morning, Chair.
Mr. Thring,
Morning, Chair. Morning, colleagues.
Chair, these are the members on the platform, Chair. We have only one member, but Mr. Mephisto may have some connectivity problems and may join us, Chair, later. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Can we flight the agenda, please? Thank you, members. There we have the agenda for today. Opening and welcome, apologies, adoption of the agenda, briefing by the DTIC on the Public Protector's report on the conversion of the Toyota Quantum panel vans. Then we have a consideration of the first draft report on the second and third quarter financial and non-financial performance, and then a presentation on a draft oversight concept document, and then closing remarks at 12. Can I then go up, please, Margot? Right. Good morning to everyone on the platform, and you are very welcome to this meeting. Can I have apologies from the Secretariat?
Apologies, Chair. There is no apologies. Mr. McPherson may still join us. I know we had connectivity problems yesterday, Chair. And if there is an apology forthcoming, I will inform the committee, Chair. Thanks.
That's fine. So can we call on members to propose adoption of the agenda as tabled? Mr. Honorable Mbuyani.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I rise to propose that we adopt the agenda as tabled. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Motaung.
Thanks, Chair. I second the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you. Our agenda is duly adopted. So the Portfolio Committee on Trade and Industry is required to consider the report on the Public Protector Report number 37 of 2018-19 on a systemic investigation into allegations of illegal conversion of goods carrying Toyota Quantum panel vans into passenger carrying minibus taxis to transport members of the public for reward. In doing so, the committee should report on the remedial action identified by the Public Protector in relation to the Minister of Trade and Industry as captured in the report. Therefore, the purpose of our meeting today is to receive a briefing from the DTIC focusing specifically on the remedial action addressed to the Minister of Trade and Industry as captured in the Public Protector's report. We know that we have met previously and we received a comprehensive report, but for the purpose of this meeting, we want to focus specifically on the remedial action so that we can process the report as the Portfolio Committee of Trade and Industry. So from who's on the platform, Mr. Hermans from the department?
Chair, the department is led by the acting DG, Ms. Mabichi Thompson, Chair, and we have also the CEO of the NRCS and Ms. Jodie Scholz of SABS is also on the platform, Chair. Thanks.
Thank
And
you
the
very
teams.
much. Over to you to introduce your team and speak to the purpose of our meeting, acting DG.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the members as well. As Chair, you've indicated that we are here on that matter of the conversion. I am with my colleagues, Stephen Hannibal, who's currently the acting DG in our branch of the department that oversees the work of both SABS and NRCS. We also have Chenge Dimana, who's also the Chief Director responsible for technical infrastructure institutions, of which SABS and NRCS is a part of. We've got on the platform the CEO of the NRCS, Mr. Mamadise, and we also have Jodie Scholz, who is one of our administrators at SABS, and of course Solu, who ordinarily would help us when we are present in these meetings. The way that the presentations are structured would be such that both SABS and the NRCS would talk a lot more in detail about the work that they have been engaged in order to take the remedial actions that the public protector has found forward to implement that, of course, within a very limited capacity that is dictated to by their different mandates. And then what Stephen would do, Stephen Hannibal, he would just maybe introduce the presentation together with Cheng. So with your permission, Chair, we are ready to then just take through the committee and the work that has been done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Acting DG, and kudos to you for your I Am the African earrings. It looks awesome. Thank you. So it's over to Mr. Hannibal.
Good morning, Honourable Chair, and all of the honourable members, DG and colleagues on the platform. Thanks very much, Chair. As DG indicated, we have a presentation, a relatively brief presentation that we'd like to share with the committee. We were here a few weeks back providing a quite detailed presentation on how the department, as well as SABS and NRCS, have responded to the public protector's findings. Chair, if you'll allow, I want to propose that we allow Dr. Dimana to take the committee through the first part of the presentation, which is providing a bit of context to the remedial action. And then, if you'll allow the CEO of NRCS to just indicate some of the additional interventions that they've implemented, which talk not so much only to the remedial action, which is what is directed to the entities to implement, but also to some of the findings where the NRCS is going beyond the remedial action that the public protector has directed the three entities to take. So, Chair, if you'll allow, I'd want to propose that we hand over to Dr. Demana to take the committee through the first part, and then to Mr. Mamadise to take the committee through the specific additional actions that the NRCS has taken. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hannibal. Dr. Demana. Dr. Demana, I think you must unmute. Is he on the platform? Yes, he is. Okay, there we go. We can see you, but you're muted. And yet your mic is on. I'm not sure why we can't hear you. Can I just check with other members? Is it my connectivity or is it from Dr. Demana's side, Mr. Hermans?
No, it's from Dr. Demana's side, Chair. We can hear you clearly, Chair.
Okay. Dr. Demana.
Chair, perhaps Dr. Demana can disconnect and reconnect. If it's okay with you, Chair, I can start the presentation. If Tolo or Margot is able to flight it, I can talk to the slides.
Okay, can we check? Ms. Sheldon, do you have the presentation? Because I don't see Ms. Mushi. Okay, there we go. If we can just get it into slide mode and then you can proceed. I think Dr. Demana must just indicate to us when he's sorted. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Hannibal.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. The Director General has already indicated the delegation. So if you'll move to the next slide, please, Ms. Sheldon. Yes. Honourable members, we noted that in the last meeting, there were a number of concerns raised around abbreviations and acronyms. And so we have tried to provide a detailed slide indicating what all of those acronyms are. That's on the previous slide. And then on this slide, honourable members, we're just reminding the committee of the remedial action that the Public Protector has directed the department and its entities to take. And members will recall that the Minister was directed to take urgent and appropriate steps to harness and foster good, effective and efficient working relations. Now, I think it is important to note, honourable members, that there were no specific adverse findings made against the department, but there were a number of findings against the SABs and the NRCS. And the DTIC, after discussion with both entities, chose not to challenge the Public Protector's report because we felt that the remedial action was appropriate and was in line with good governance and good institutional practice. But there were a number of elements of the Public Protector's report and the findings of the Public Protector that perhaps talk to some misunderstandings and areas of misalignment regarding the role and the mandate of SABs and the NRCS. And so we'll talk to that in later slides, just to highlight how perhaps there is a need for slightly better coordination amongst all of the departments, both DTIC and the Department of Transport, and the entities, both of DTIC, such as SABs and NRCS, and the entities that report to the Department of Transport to work together and to perhaps make sure that there are no gaps in the regulatory oversight. So, Ms. Sheldon, if you could move to the next slide, please. So in terms of the remedial action, what we've done to ensure that we fully comply with the remedial action is that the DTIC has facilitated a quite detailed memorandum of understanding between NRCS and SABS. That was concluded in 2021, and it's now been fully implemented. The MOU formalizes areas of cooperation and collaboration, but it also indicates how the MOU will be implemented in practice. So a joint working committee has been established, and that's meeting regularly. There's also implementation of mutually agreed programs and projects, and there are regular management meetings to deal with operational matters that link NRCS and SABS. And so we would really suggest to the committee that the remedial action has been quite extensively implemented. It's also important to note that the MOU strengthened the cooperation that is already entrenched in the primary legislation of the two entities. And so it's formalized that and operationalized that to a significant degree. But there is very strong cooperation between the two entities that is really embodied in the primary legislation of those two entities. If we could move to the next slide, please. Chairperson, as I indicated, in addition to the remedial action, the NRCS has also gone beyond that and responded to some of the specific findings that the public protector made. And so there are a number of slides now that cover what the NRCS is doing over and above the remedial action. And so if you'll allow, Chair, I'd like to propose handing over to the CEO of the NRCS, Mr. Mamadise, for him to take the committee through the next few slides.
Thank you very much. CEO Mamadise.
Hi, good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members, as well as the acting DG and the colleagues. In terms of the specific actions and additional actions that NRCS has undertaken, NRCS has established a task team, a dedicated task team of inspectors who would specifically look into the issues of the MIBs, specifically dealing with the issues of vehicle conventions by the MIBs. In addition to that, Chair, we have concluded an SLA with Department of Transport. It came into effect on 1 April 2021. The SLA essentially defines the roles of each entity, in particular based on the fact that NRCS supports the Department of Transport, which is the policy owner on all vehicle regulations, and to signify the fact that we have also been appointed as the inspectorate for MIBs and define our work in relation to that. It is also important to note, Chair, that the PP did not make a specific recommendations for NRCS or remedial action in relation to the NRCS. However, NRCS has proceeded to identify the findings that the PP has on in relation to the NRCS, and we proceeded to address those gaps. If we can move to the next slide. As Stephen has already stated, we have an MOU with SABS. The aim of the MOU is to address the finding of the public protector and help us to foster relationships with SABS. We are already joined on the hip, as Stephen has stated, by the legislation, because whenever we develop compulsory specification, the legislation implies that we must refer to the standards that SABS administer. So, but the MOU is in relation to operational and strategic matters that each entity is focusing on. Under the MOU, we have joint committees on standards and testing, which were the issues that the PP raised in relation to the conversion of panel vans, wherein the finding related to the testing requirements and so forth. So we have this task team to look into the issues of testing, the quality of testing, and the turnaround times in terms of the testing by SABS. We do have steercom meetings, which is chaired rotationally by myself and the acting CEO of SABS. We strive to have those meetings on quarterly basis when times allows. One of the issues that was raised by the PP again was the issue of a letter of authorization from original vehicle manufacturer. We have incorporated that requirement into our processes going forward. So no one will be able to convert a vehicle without the support documents or a letter of support from original vehicle manufacturer. So in other words, if one wants to convert a Nissan panel van into an ambulance or into a taxi, the NRCS will not do any work until they supply us with the support documents from Nissan that indeed they have agreed to the vehicle being converted into something else. If you can move to the next slide. The public protector also highlighted the issue of the vehicles that have been identified and the NRCS feeling. If you can mute the 1,986 vehicles that have been identified. As we have indicated, we support the Department of Transport, which is a policy owner. Our work entails inspecting the MIBs, using the legislative muscle that we have in terms of the NRCS Act, Section 17. However, what we cannot do is to inspect vehicles that are already on the road because we don't have those powers. However, we have recommended to the DOT to admin mark those vehicles so that they can be removed on the road. We don't know as of now whether those vehicles are still operating as taxis on the road, because only the DOT and its agencies will have access to the information as to who is the owner. And in addition to that, the vehicles are required to register each year to renew the license disc. The DOT and its agencies will be able to identify those vehicles upon registration and admin mark them if they are still operating, so that we can remove these vehicles from the road. In terms of the impact of the panel vans, I think we have already spoken to that in terms of what needs to happen. The impact can be limited by DOT by removing those vehicles from the road. Next slide. Enhancing the relationship with the stakeholders, I've already spoken to this. We have an SLA with DOT to clarify our responsibilities as the Inspectorate of MIBs. We are aiming to have a meeting with DOT soon to discuss the outstanding vehicles, the 1,986 vehicles that we have referred to earlier on. The SLA also allow us to participate in various forums. One of the forums that we are participating in is the determination of taxi age limit, which is a project that has been initiated and led by Taxi Recapitalization South Africa. We are part of that project in trying to come up with the age limit for taxis that operate for reward. Next slide. In terms of the improvement of the market surveillance activities that NRC has undertaken in terms of Section 17, the NRC has dedicated a team of inspectors to look into the issues of MIBs. The task team's work is continuous. It's not a seasonal thing that will happen now when we have these findings, but it's a continuous work that will be implemented going forward to ensure that the issues pertaining to MIBs are strategically looked into. Part of the work of the task team was to investigate the complaints relating to the products, investigate the alleged non-compliance, the abuse of a INATI system, and overall conduct in-depth audits of all the MIBs and check whether they are illegally converting vehicles. The findings thus far revealed that none of the MIBs are involved in illegal conversion of any vehicles. Next slide. Lastly, Chair, we have embarked on what we call Project Safer Vehicle 2025, which is a project that we have identified to enable us to update all the vehicle regulations through our participation in the Working Party 29, which is the United Nations Forum on Vehicle Regulations. We have identified a need to update our regulations so that they can keep abreast with the international norms as well as technological advances, including looking at the issues of self-driven cars, electrical cars, and also generally to enable us to be effective in terms of vehicle regulation enforcement. You remember at some stage we had issues with vehicle fires where we would not be able to do anything due to the limitation imposed by the compulsory specification that we had in force at the time. Now we want to look at all these vehicle regulations so that we can be able to intervene when it is necessary to do so. I think that will be it on my side. The next slide will deal with the recommendations by the DTIC.
Thank you very much, CEO. Is it Mr. Hannibal who will deal with the recommendations by DTIC?
Yes, Chair. Thanks very much, Honourable Chair. So, Chair, we want to propose to the committee that the DTIC and its entities, SABS and NRCS, have fully implemented the Public Protector's remedial action, both in principle and in full practice. Mr. Mamadise and Ms. Scholz can talk at length about the improved coordination and cooperation between the two departments, the two entities. So we think it is important to stress that we believe that we fully implemented the remedial action required. However, we do want to just point out to the committee that the automotive regulatory system is still a bit fragmented between the national departments of DOT and DTIC. And of course, it's an area that also has national, provincial and local government competencies. And so that's something that we do need to work towards strengthening. And then, Chair, it would be remiss if we didn't point out that there are still significant numbers of vehicles that were illegally converted from panel vans into taxis. they do continue to operate on our roads, and they do put the lives of many of our people at risk. And we would like to request the Portfolio Committee to perhaps assist in facilitating a meeting with the Department of Transport and its entities to really strengthen the attempts across government to get these illegally and quite dangerous panel vans off our roads as quickly as possible, noting that the mandate, the legal mandate to take vehicles off the road, to inspect vehicles that are already operating on the road, doesn't lie with the DTIC and its entities. But we do think for the sake of the lives of our people that we need to inject some action into this area. So thank you very much, Chair. I think that's the last slide from the DTIC team and the entities. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. There's the report, committee members. Can I have any questions of clarity or comments that you wish to make? I'll take hands. If there are no hands, then we will assume that we have accepted that report and the recommendations that come with it. There's no further hands. Okay. Oh,
We have a hand. There's a hand, Chair.
Yeah. Honorable Burns Ngamashe.
Thank you very much, Chair. Maybe we just need to highlight the fact that as an established case law, that when findings and remedial actions are made by the Office of the Public Protector, those are binding in every respect. And what it means is that unless they are put on review, they remain findings and actions to be executed in line with what has been directed by the PP. What does this mean? It simply means if there are any reservations or ill feelings about whatever that may have been put as a finding and remedial action by the PP, to the extent that it has not been put on review, it's a matter that I think they call it is trite. There's nothing that we can do about it. So even to suggest feelings that may be to that direction will not be helpful. With that, Chair, the question probably that I would have, I would have two questions. The first one would be, what mutually reinforcing measures have been implemented between SAPS and NRCS besides the MOU, because we need some practical steps, because here, this is all about ensuring safety of the citizens, safety of the commuters, and not only safety, but also acceptable standard in terms of the product itself. And of course, it is very clear that to the extent that we have to look into those issues, these may not necessarily be limited to the purview of DTIC. There are other role players, and in this case would be the Department of Transport. So, which means the maximum intensity in terms of in terms of engaging that department becomes key and critical, which probably at some point, Chair, may even necessitate joint portfolio committee meetings, so as to ensure that we have the same appreciation of what needs to be done. Because ultimately, it also, if not done properly, it will obviously have adverse effect in terms of compromising the quality of that which ought to be overseen by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition through its entities. The second one, has the SAPS and NRCS considered rendering conformity assessment services in order to improve the effectiveness of the two entities? Those are the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Burns Ngamashe. Can I just check, I don't see Dr. Damana back on the platform. So can I hand over to you? Yes.
Chair, he's on the platform, Chair.
Oh, he is. Dr. Damana, can you respond to the questions raised and the comments by Honorable Burns Ngamashe, please? Dr. Damana, I see you are unmuted, but we can't hear you.
I think he still may have the challenge of earlier, Chair.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it could be his device or his network. Mr. Honeywell.
Thanks very much, Honourable Chair, and thanks to Honourable Burns Ngamashe for the two questions. Chairperson, I think the first point that that Honourable Burns Ngamashe made is very helpful. We will certainly reconsider our approach to the Public Protector's report, because I think he's absolutely right that even if the remedial action is easily implemented, we do need to correct findings that may not have been absolutely correct. And so I think going forward, we would certainly want to be more vigilant in terms of that. So that comment is really helpful. And then, Chair, if I can request my two colleagues, so Ms. Scholz and Mr. Mamadise, just to respond to the practical measures that have been implemented in the two institutions. And then maybe Ms. Scholz would also want to respond to the conformity assessment question, as that falls within the purview of SABS. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Scholz. Ms. Scholz, you first, and then we'll go to the CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Chair and honourable members. Thank you very much, Honourable Burns Ngamashe, for the question. I think as we've SABS has a mandate to look at standards and standards development. That's the heart of our mandate. And one of the policy levers that we have at our disposal is our technical committees. So the NRCS, in terms of identifying some of the gaps in the standard and how the standard should be revised, have already given this information into the relevant technical committee. And so that work is ongoing. So the process is that the technical committee now works with the information that's been given. Once they've come up with a consolidated viewpoint, it is then gazetted for a period, and then it then becomes an amended national standard. So that's the process that is currently underway. In terms of the conformity assessment services, yes, SABS has a commercial mandate, and so we do offer conformity assessment services to the market, and this is on a voluntary basis. The NRCS has compulsory specifications, whereas the mandate of SABS is around voluntary compliance. So any company or institution that wants to either look at a product mark, which is our SABS mark, alternatively a management system like ISO 9000, 18,000 or energy management 55,000, those we can also come and assist on a voluntary basis. So companies would then approach us to then do these audits, and we then issue an audit report in that regard. Chair, I think those were the two questions directed at me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Scholes. CEO Mabadise.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. To signify the fact that we do not question the report of the public protector, we have addressed all the findings, and having done so, we submitted a report to the public protector herself in terms of the steps that the NRCS has taken to correct whatever findings that have been contained in the report. So on our side, we consider that we have dealt with all the findings comprehensively, and the PP will advise that as whether she agrees with the actions that we have taken or not. In terms of the practical steps, I think Ms. Scholes has touched on some of the issues that are practical in nature. Over and above the MOU, there are SLAs, like I said, that deals with real operational issues. I think as we speak, we are in the process of finalizing an SLA on testing, which is part of the practical steps that Honorable Ncamashi is talking about. Though that will talk to the issues of testing, the turnaround times for testing, and the testing capability of all the products that are covered by the NRCS in terms of the compulsory specification. I think that's all I want to make input on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, CEO and Ms. Scholes, for those responses. I think committee members, we are now able to complete our report, but I think the challenges thrown out to us by the recommendations from DTIC is how do we assist in getting those 1,900 plus vehicles off the road, because as we speak, they are carrying passengers, and those passengers are South African citizens. So I want to propose to the committee that you allow us to take this to that recommendation to MANCOM, so that we see, do we set up a subcommittee, or do we have a joint portfolio committee meeting, you know, to look at the modality for addressing that recommendation, so that we make sure that as the Department of Trade and Industry, we have done our bit. And then we will come back to the committee then with a recommendation of how we propose to implement the that. Can I check if there are any comments from committee members? Honorable Umbiani.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I've seen the letter from the DG writing to the PC. Bullet number, I think is 2. I'm not so sure the 1.2 because it says as no direct adverse finding were made against the department, and given that remedial action constitute a good institutional good practice, the DTIC choose not to challenge the public protector report, although said the report contains a number of misunderstandings between the role and the mandate of SAPS. According to my understanding, Chairperson, if you put this statement, you still don't want to agree with the recommendation or remedial action of the public protector. So I will definitely ask the DG to clarify what is it that is here, because we are no longer talking about the understanding of the public protector in terms of the work of the SAPS and the NRCS. We're talking of the program of action in terms of dealing with the remedial action, because we have failed to review the recommendation by the public protector. Just a clarity, because the 1.2, it really confuses me, because now we're agreeing that we're dealing with the MOUs, we're agreeing with the remedial actions, we're developing a program, but such statement, I think it's, to me, it's still we are regretting that while we did not review the remedial action and by the public protector. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mbiani. Is that the DG or Ms. Daniva who will respond to that? Acting DG.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think what we were doing in that letter, we were just trying to contextualize in line with the mandates of the different institutions that were cited in the report. And as had already been said by the chief economist and also acting DDG responsible for the institutions, our highlighting of this fact, we don't want it to be equated with us not going to take any action in relation to what the public protector has directed that we do. Hence, the different institutions have already indicated the work that we have done thus far. And we are also now saying, because there are some limitations, we are asking the portfolio committee for support through a joint portfolio committee with the Department of Transport to see how we comprehensively deal with what is essentially a life-threatening risk to the commuters that continue to use these vehicles. So we've considered to the point that this matter could have been taken back for review, but our priority is to bring safety, which was really the core of what the complaint at the public protector was. We want to bring safety as soon as possible to these passengers, and hence we are also asking the support of the committee in assisting us and the Department of Transport to see how together we can, based on the current legislative framework, bring improvements, including to this legislative framework, so that these commuters are provided safety as soon as possible. So we had to make a choice whether this was a matter worth us taking on review and spending our time in the court, so to say, with the public protector, or we were going to prioritize the resolution of the core complaint, which is keeping commuters safe. And we chose to keep commuters safe. And any choice that we would have made would have come with a price. And the price, Honorable Benz Namasha has already spoken to it, that in a way, when we don't challenge these things, there's that risk that they become, it now is it's case law, as it were. But the other choice was to delay through taking on review implementation of some of these important measures that the complainants wanted resolved. And we chose to rather take that as our course of action, Chairperson. I hope that just clarifies the issue that we continue to raise it, and hence we are asking support from the Portfolio Committee so that we strengthen our legislative framework as far as this matter is concerned. But we do acknowledge that there were issues there that were raised, which really did not conform to the legal framework, particularly that the institutions in question are operating under. Thank you, Chair. I hope that clarifies the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting DG. There's the response. Is there any further inputs on this report from members? Thank you. I think that concludes the matter. Honorable Mbiani, you want to make further input?
No, Chairperson, thanks very much. Maybe I will be clarified properly outside, because if there are no direct adverse funding made against the department, why now are we developing all these remedial actions? So maybe I'm very much slow, because if there's no direct adverse finding within the SABS and NRCS, we need not to develop all these issues that we are developing, the MOUs, the joint committees. The NRCS has already established some inspectors in all these teams, and also the request that we need to have NRCS and the DOT concluded service legal agreement. Because this statement, to me, it's problematic. That means we are just doing this because we have to do it, but we are not part of this thing. So that is why I was asking whether this statement is relevant to the letter, and how are we going to assist as the PC, whilst at some stage you are still not so sure whether you were wrong or not wrong, or you were not confirming to the findings and stuff. But I won't delay the PC for my clarity. Maybe I'll get outside this forum. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think the beginning of the presentation by DTIC spoke about, I think we must just go back to that first bullet point. But I think the public, if I remember correctly, the public protector spoke about harmonizing, or I can't remember what the word was, the working relationship between SABS and NRCS. I think that is what these recommendations are about. I think Honorable Burns Ngamashe is going to assist us. Honorable Burns Ngamashe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I think the issue that is raised by Honorable Mbuyani.
Can I just ask others to please mute? Thank you. Carry on, Honorable Burns.
Yes, is about carefully looking at what probably we can call the doctrine of precedent. You know, because when we deal with the findings and the remedial action by the public protector, we really have to look at that with a high degree of circumspection, precisely because those findings, when they are made, until they are reviewed by a court of law, they remain a point of reference for future purposes. Yes, I accept the view that says the intention was about being corrective in the interest of commuters, in the interest of citizens. But the challenge about not putting things into proper perspective is that those, if not reviewed, put into proper perspective, then they remain valid instruments which in future will be used as a point of reference to arrive at other findings and remedial actions. So that is the issue which I think Honorable Mbuyane is trying to hone into the discourse. So probably if the acting DG could fill that gap, the extent to which it may have those ramifications if not reviewed. Or put it differently, what are the implications of not putting these findings into a review process, while on the other hand, accepting the remedial action? Thank you very much. I guess I've tried to distill these issues and try to make them as simple and clear as is possible. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you've assisted even my understanding. Honorable Malemacha.
No, thanks, Chair. In support of Mr. Mbuyane, I want, when the acting DG respond, don't forget what he said yesterday, and I quote, findings you may or not respond simply because they are not directive in nature. I think these are the things that causes a number of confusion, because there's no way that we can find that there seemed to be a clear collaboration between the two institutes, not necessarily helping. Therefore, you say, I may decide to go and rectify it or not. The money response. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I, yes, Acting DG? You are muted.
Thank you, Chair. I hope you can hear me now.
You can.
Chair, maybe just to clarify the point. It is not all of the remedial actions that the public protector has directed us to undertake that we are questioning. There is one that indeed is beyond the mandate of the institutions in question to be able to implement. And that is the one which we are most worried about. That one is the one that deals with vehicles that are already on the road. Hence, we are also asking the portfolio committee to assist us with the joint portfolio committee with the Department of Transport. We we can go back, also including getting legal advice about the implication of just that one finding, and us not having challenged it because we are outside the period that is allowed by the law to have challenged it. I have already stated the basis of our decision to move ahead with the implementation of some of the remedial actions that are within the ambit of the two institutions that the DTIC oversees. Let me clarify this, the issue about there were no findings against the DTIC. There's a separation between the DTIC itself, the NRCS, and SAPS. So all of these institutions were asked to do certain actions. For the DTIC, there was nothing that was asked that the department really do. The big matter was about making sure that there is collaboration between our two agencies. We can never question anything of that nature. That collaboration is there. But it's the big finding that has to do with, I would say, the second half of what the complaint was, which deals with the cars that are already on the road. The other half we can deal with. The other half of cars that are on the road is the one that we are saying is beyond our mandate, and hence the important need to then bring the Department of Transport on board to resolve that. So I think, maybe we have addressed this. I'm not sure if Stephen and even Dr. Dimane may want to add on anything that I've provided in order to try and assist the committee on this matter. Stephen?
Chair, just thanks very much, Chair. Just a quick input from my side. So, honourable members, the core of the issue is, as DG's indicated, the remedial action is being implemented. So we are fully accepting the remedial action, and it's being implemented. The point that we were alluding to is that the NRCS doesn't have the legal or regulatory mandate to inspect taxis that are physically on the road already. That mandate resides with the Road Traffic Management Corporation, which is an entity of the Department of Transport, and then of course the security services, the SAPS, the Metro Police, and that's why, honourable members, I alluded at the start of the presentation to this being quite a difficult area, because national, provincial, and local government spheres have a responsibility, a concurrent responsibility. So our main point was simply to say that we need to find a mechanism to work more closely with the entities such as the Road Traffic Management Corporation and our sister national department, the Department of Transport, to get the vehicles, the illegally converted vehicles that are already on the road, to get them off the road. We would argue that we now have in place measures that will avoid a similar situation happening again. And Mr. Mamadise spoke to the inspectors, the 100 inspectors that are now dedicated to inspecting the manufacturers, the importers, and the builders who might convert panel vans into taxis. So we think we're addressing the problem at source now, but we have this, in a sense, legacy challenge, which is the 1,900 odd illegally converted vehicles that are currently on the road. And those we simply don't have the legal mandate to be able to get them off the road. We need a partnership with our colleagues in the Department of Transport, and they will need their entities such as the RTMC and others at provincial and local government level to actually go out, stop taxis alongside the road, check if they fall into the category of the 1,900 illegally converted, and actually get them off the road once and for all. So thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Committee members, are you comfortable to move on with the agenda, or are there any further questions?
No, thanks, Chair. We're covered.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any other hands. So we go to the next agenda item, which is the consideration of the first draft report on the second and third quarter financial and non-financial performance of the DTIC. Honorable Acting DG. You're muted, I think. Honorable Acting DG. You're still muted. Maybe it's a network issue because we can't hear you, but you're okay. I just heard this and then it went